Change your diet, change your life, change the planet.
Greetings and salutations from rainy Keene, New Hampshire. I'm on my way home from a race on the Massachusetts coast. And I'm going to stop here and do a run, but it's raining out and there's all kinds of reasons going through my head why I should wait a little longer before I get out of the car. And maybe I'll check my email. And maybe I'll check the video and see if people are commenting on it. What are they saying? And I just read a bunch of your comments, so I'm going to make this one kind of interactive a little bit while I avoid going for a run in the rain, which I am going to do. When this video is done, I promise myself, when I turn the camera off, I'm opening the door and I'm going for a run in the rain. But I got something done beforehand, so I feel good about it. So it's not just procrastination, it's procrastination that was actually productive, which I highly recommend. So anyways, the most recent video, I talked about being an athlete and being competitive and my training being a kind of fight for me because I deal with depression, because I deal with difficult circumstances. There is a great deal of fighting that goes on for me on a daily basis. And someone posted a comment about the difference between the raw New Age world, spiritual world, and Tim's philosophy because they seem to be at odds. Well, they are kind of at odds. I'm a very practical person. I'm an empirical person of sorts. I believe in coming up with a hypothesis, testing it, and then seeing what results you get, and then testing it again and testing it again in different ways until you have a better understanding of what the situation is and what ways or what solutions may be effective in dealing with this particular situation. Then this becomes a theory. But people often confuse the words hypothesis and theory. They'll say, I have a theory about something. Well, if it hasn't been tested, if it hasn't been put through the rigors of science and testing or mathematics, it's not a theory, it's a hypothesis. It's a thought, it's an opinion. A theory has to be tested. And before I tell you anything in these videos, before I give you any advice, I test it. Everything that I tell you is something that I have tested in my life and works for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for you guaranteed, but it might. You might want to try it out because it does work for me and I'm a pretty tough case. So let's get back to this concept of fighting because Tim's philosophy seems to be all about fighting. That's because I'm in a difficult situation. That's because my life is not easy. And I'm not saying that anybody's life is easy, but from my perspective, from where I'm standing, and with the tools and resources that I'm given, it appears immensely challenging. Now that could simply be my point of view, or it might actually be the reality of the situation. That's yet to be determined. But regardless, my experience of my life is quite difficult. Not a lot of fun. But I persevere anyways. And that perseverance, that determination for me is a fight, not going to beat somebody up or dominate something or even dominate myself. My training and my races are not about dominating myself. They're about understanding myself. They're about communicating with myself. They're about seeing where I limit myself and why. And are those limits necessary? Are those limits valid? And do they really apply to anything in the real world around me? Or are they limits that I simply set when I was a little boy in a particular situation and they were relevant, but now 30, 40 years later, maybe they have no applicability. Maybe they're totally irrelevant. So I've got to look at those limits. I've got to test them to see if I still need them because maybe I don't. And that's what training is for me. That's what competing as an athlete is for me. Not about dominating anyone or anything, but simply about testing myself and putting myself under the microscope and seeing if I need to be the person that I currently am or is there room to grow. So let's get back to the New Age side now. where most people are saying that we are part of this universal consciousness, that we are part of an infinite intelligence, and there is a flow, there is a design, and we just need to surrender to that and trust that it has our best intentions in mind. There are checks and balances in nature and in this place called the universe. And those checks and balances often require that one being or one species or even one entire planet dies off as a check and balance. One species goes extinct naturally and another rises. One herd of rabbits, or what do you call a bunch of rabbits? Or I'm going to call them a herd. A herd of rabbits overtakes an area and suddenly there is a rise in coyote population or hawk population or whatever it might be to put things back in balance. That's the design. Sometimes the design kills you. So if you believe in that, an infinite intelligence, sometimes the most intelligent thing to do to keep things in balance is to kill you off. Maybe you're putting things out of balance. Well, maybe I'm not ready to be killed off yet, so I'm fighting. Some days it seems like I'm going to die. It seems like I'm not going to make it through the end of the day. That happens a lot. But I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. I'm standing my ground and I'm fighting back and I'm saying, no. I still have a lot to give. I haven't done my best work yet. I'm just getting started. So I'm going to make sure that I'm here tomorrow and the day after and the day after. Not so that I can have this great abundant life of luxury and relaxation and hang out on a beach somewhere and eat coconuts all day. No. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that I make a difference. What's important to me is that I am a contribution. What's important to me is that I help other people that are struggling like I am because I know what it's like. I know how hard it is. And I know how easy it is to give up. And I know that voice of quit is always playing. So what gives me the greatest joy is knowing that I can help someone through the day so that they can have another day and another day. That's my goal. That's what gives me the greatest happiness. So these videos help me because when I see your comments, it fills me with joy, love, peace, happiness. It makes me feel like I really do have a purpose in this world and I'm not just wasting space and resources. But let's get back to the New Age thing. Go with the flow, Tim. Just surrender, release, stop fighting and go with the flow. Well, as I was running in Portsmouth, New Hampshire earlier today, the tide had gone out and I was looking at the tidal flats. And I'm going to emphasize that word flat because it was flat, muddy, sandy, mucky stuff. But the water doesn't just run straight towards the ocean. It meanders in a sinuous path, sinuous like a snake, winding. And if you've ever looked at rivers, especially on a map or on a satellite or Google Earth or any of those things, you'll see that they wind around. They don't just go in straight lines. Nature doesn't have straight lines for the most part. And water especially loves to meander, even on a flat surface. So going with the flow is not about surrendering and then being swept quickly from point A to point B. Going with the flow means that you're going to get taken all over the place, even if it's a perfectly flat, smooth surface. Even if there are no obstacles in your life and you can see the horizon, you can see the goal, and there's nothing standing in your way, the flow is not going to take you on a straight line directly there. It's got its own intention, or intelligence. And it's going to take you wherever it wants. It's going to take as long as it wants to get there. So if you have no obstacles in your life and you go with the flow, you're still not going to get there the way you think. But I don't know of many people that don't have obstacles in their life. I think most of us do. I have a lot. My obstacles look like the Himalayas. So the obstacles in my life are huge, and they're made of hard rock. But water can break down rock, and it does. This is why we have valleys, and this is why we have the Grand Canyon, because the water over millions of years carved away the rock. Now tell me that's not a fight. I'm not saying that the water is physically, aggressively attacking the rock or that it's angry at the rock. Not that kind of fight. but it's doing hard work. It's doing hard work that most people would say, why are you doing that? Why are you carving away the rock? Why don't you just flow over the top of it? It's like, hello, can you see the terrain? It's not flat. The only way for me to get from here to the ocean, my final destination, is to carve through the rock. That's it. I don't have a choice. Maybe you don't have those obstacles in your life. Maybe your water can just flow straight there. Well, not straight, sinuous. But my water's got to cut through some rock first. There's a lot of hard work that I've got to do before I get to point B. And that's reality. Not everybody can just bliss out. Yes, some people bliss out. Some people surrender, they bliss out, there's no obstacles, and then they write books about it and they create philosophies and they sell all kinds of seminars and retreats for thousands of dollars and tell you, all you need to do is bliss out. I did it and look what happened to me. Yeah, you're an anomaly. How many of us in this world have nothing to fight against? How many of us in this world have life easily and effortlessly just place goodness and abundance in front of us? I used to listen to the motivational speaker Brian Tracy a lot back in the day because I like Brian's stuff. But the more that I've put my stuff into practice, the more that I realized that a lot of what he says and Tony Robbins and many of these other gurus, they're just words. They sound great intellectually, they make rational sense. Wow, yeah, in a perfect world with no obstacles and with no emotional wiring that fights against us. Brian Tracy tells this story of a man who's wandering through Greece and he wants to get to Mount Olympus. So he stops this old man on the road and says, excuse me, sir, how do I get to Mount Olympus? Old man happens to be Socrates. And Socrates says, just make sure that every step you take is in that direction. Meaning that walk towards the mountain and don't walk anywhere else. That's how you get to Mount Olympus. That's how you get to your goal. That's Brian Tracy's takeaway from this. Just keep walking towards your goal. Dude, not even water flows in a straight line on a flat surface. And we're 70 to 80% water. So how can we expect to flow in a straight line towards our goals? It just doesn't happen. Physics, baby, physics. So, Tim's philosophy versus New Age spiritual philosophy. Well, Tim's philosophy is for people who are dealing with some tough stuff. You got fights. You got obstacles. You've got challenges. You've got people that are against you. You've got institutions that are against you, whatever it might be. You can't just surrender because they'll crush you. New Age philosophy, hey, if you got nothing going on, nothing bad is happening in your life, everything just rolls out easily in front of you, awesome, embrace it, bliss out. Hey, you know what? I'm a little bit jealous. But for the rest of you that do have real challenges in your life, try this stuff out and see if it works. I'm not going to promise anything, but it's working for me. And it allows me to take the next step on the next day. And that is the greatest gift of all. So keep commenting on the videos. I do read your comments. I don't respond to them just because I'm completely overwhelmed in my life. I wish I could, but please keep commenting and subscribe. If you really do believe that these videos work for you, and you really do believe that they have value, spread it around. That's my whole purpose. I want to help people. I want to give people access to tools that I know work. Spread it. Don't just keep it to yourself. I'm not keeping it to myself. I could, but I'm telling you. So if it's worked for you and if it's helped you, tell other people. Spread the love. Let's help as many people as we can together as a team. Because there's no I in team unless you're saying my name in French. Team. Team Van Orden. All right, this is Team saying over and out. Time to run.